To the conversation, two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning Washington correspondent for the New York Times, Michael Schmidt. He's the author of the new book, Donald Trump versus the United States, Inside the Struggle to Stop a President. Great to have you on the show. Michael, you have a couple of revelations that have come out recently. What do you think some of the key revelations are in this book, and what did you learn about the president that you didn't know before?
Well, what I tried to do in this book was tell the story of what it's like to be one of the people sort of standing between the president and the abyss. For all of, or much of, American history, we've focused on how presidents use their power, how the people around them help the president do that, what that means about the president, what that means about the moment, what it says about the country. And with Trump, we've just seen an incredibly unusual phenomena, and that is that the people around the president are trying to contain the president. So what is it like to be one of those containers? What is it like to stand up to the president? If you're the FBI director or the White House counsel, there's no other FBI director or White House counsel to call. You're the 911 operator. There's no other 911 operator to call. So what do you do? What is that like? What is that a human experience like? What does it feel like to be one of those people? And you can read the book and sort of see, what would you have done? What would you have done if the president said, go fire Robert Mueller, and you were the White House counsel? How would you have handled that?
Well, and Michael, why don't you tell us? You had that happening, of course, to Don McGahn, Corey Lewandowski. It happened to a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure he walked up to Secret Service people at some point, asked them to fire. I mean, he was asking everybody to do that firing and do other things that he didn't want to do. How did they respond differently?
Well, that's the thing about Trump, is that he's sort of this human MRI machine that gets you a chance to see into the souls of these different people and how they will respond and what is it that means to them. In the case of Jim Comey was never going to bend to the president. He was never going to give in. You were mentioning the loyalty dinner, ask him to end the Flynn investigation. Those things were never going to work with Comey. But in the case of Don McGahn, you see McGahn realizing that he's the White House counsel, but he also has a never and again lifetime opportunity to remake the federal courts. And he's there in the White House, and he believes in that cause and his ability to follow through on that, probably even more so than the president does. So he has to, and he decides to sort of balance trying to deal with Trump to stay in his position because he wants to be there to do that. As I write in the book, in the spring of 2018, McGahn was under an enormous amount of pressure. His lawyer, Bill Burke, wanted McGahn to leave. He knew that the Mueller report, they actually thought the Mueller report may be coming out soon and that Trump would see all of these things that McGahn had told investigators. But McGahn thinks he can hear in Kennedy's voice from the oral arguments that are going on at the court that Kennedy may step down, that Kennedy may retire. And McGahn believes that even though he probably can't even stop Trump that well anymore, he wants to stay. Because if he doesn't stay, he doesn't think Kennedy will retire, because he doesn't trust that, because Kennedy wouldn't trust that Trump wouldn't put a wrecking ball on the court. So McGahn says to himself, well, if I can just stay in the ring here at the White House through the end of the term in June, maybe I'll get a shot at another person on the court. And he stays through that, and Kennedy goes ahead and retires, and McGahn has a shot and helps and basically moves forward with the Kavanaugh nomination and has sort of the ultimate stand in that and comes out with that. And it's sort of this remarkable story of how do you navigate a president when the president may be the problem? It's just, we just don't see that a lot.
Yeah. Casey Hunt is with us and has a question. Casey?
Hey, Michael, congratulations on the book. On the loyalty question, I will say, I think it was John Kelly who used the phrase saying no to President Trump is like French kissing a chainsaw, which I thought was particularly evocative and awful. Wow. But can you explain how Bill Barr fits into this narrative that you are talking about? I mean, Joe called him Trump's Roy Cohn. I think I certainly have talked to Republicans who've been surprised. You know, he cast himself as this George H.W. Bush, longtime Republican, who's going to stand in defense of a lot of these norms. And they've, seen how he's conducted himself as Attorney General and gone, that's not necessarily what we signed up for with this. How does he fit into this paradigm that you're talking about?
Well, the thing about Barr is that Trump's behavior makes the perception of Barr even worse. Because here's the thing, as we're talking about with John Kelly, I write in the book about how Trump called Kelly the day after he fired Comey. And he said, I want you to be the FBI director, and I need you to be loyal to me alone. And Kelly says, get lost. I'm going to be loyal to the Constitution. I'm not your guy for that. So in the case of Trump, we know that he asked Comey for his loyalty, and then he asked Kelly for his loyalty as he was trying to fill that position. So then that raises the question, how did Chris Wray become the FBI director? Well, we know that he asked that he asked Comey for loyalty, and we know that he asked Kelly for loyalty right after he left. So it creates this question. Well, it's like, if you get into one of these positions, how did you get there? The president fired Jeff Sessions and openly said that he fired Sessions because Sessions had recused himself from the Russia investigation, one of the most disloyal things that anyone has ever done to Trump. He has been very, very public about that. So if that is how Trump viewed these people and he got rid of them and he didn't put them in positions because they wouldn't be loyal to him, then how do you get that position? How did you get there? And look, we have no evidence that he asked Chris Wray for his loyalty to become the FBI director. We have no evidence that he did that with Barr. But we have a lot of evidence about how he dealt with the people before them and the folks that he got rid of in those positions. When he fired Sessions, he really wanted to fire Sessions.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.